Hey, welcome to the Short Box. I'm Jared Galante.
And I'm Kevin.
And I'm Donald McKinney.
Today we're going to talk the rise, the fall. I don't know if it fell, but the story of Eclipse Comics. Wait. Let's not get crazy here, guys. We're human beings. We had the holiday season just before us. Let's talk about maybe presents we got. Presents we gave, anything cool comic related, anything
Was
like
Santa
that.
good to you, Donald and Jared?
Santa was good to me. I got some Vans Toy Story Buzz Lightyear shoes because I'm 5 apparently, but they're awesome and I love them. And they say Andy on the bottom, and they're pretty cool. Nice. But let's see. In comics, my daughter, Madeline, who you either have met already or you will meet in future YouTube episodes, the video episodes. She is in love. She's 7 years old, and she's in love with the New Warriors, the 90s New Warriors.
Wow.
Yeah, her favorite character is Speedball and Nova and Marvel Boy. So we came up together with this idea that she would collect all the first appearances of the New Warriors. And she got Speedball was the first one, and then she got Nova, and which you'll see in the video.
Speedball, that was a Spider-Man annual, correct?
Yeah, Spider-Man Annual 22, I think.
Wow.
And then she got Nova number 1. Super beat up copy. I'm not going crazy here. I'm not Daddy Warbucks. But she got that. Then I decided for Christmas I would put together her own first, wait for it, short box. Her first short box.
Nice.
And she'd get to put all her comics that she already has in it, along with the ones I got her. And what I got her was, what was it? Defenders Giant Size number 5, which is the first Marvel Boy, and like the third Guardians of the Galaxy. I got her Submariner 50, which was first Namorita.
Nice.
And all these are in pristine condition. I got her Thor 410, 411, or 411, 412. I forget what it is. First New Warriors and first New Warriors Full. First Night Thrasher. And let's see, to round it out, I got... Is that the rest of the New Warriors? I also got her... Oh, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends number 1, which was technically the first Firestar.
Okay.
Yeah, got that. And then I threw in some cool ones because I wanted to promote the girl power aspect. I got her first Miss Martian, which was a Teen Titans. First Blink, which was like a 90s X-Men. And then I got her first, is it Siri? What's the new Iron? Her name is Iron Heart now. The new Iron Man girl. It's
yeah.
Riri Williams.
It's like Iron Man number 8 or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I got her the first
one
of that, and then I got her Captain Marvel 7, which I think is the very first Kamala Khan, which is Miss Marvel, which we are reading and we are loving.
Which is gaining a lot of popularity lately.
Yeah. So she got hooked the up.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
Jesus.
she got hooked up.
Now,
Can I be
you're a
your
great
kid?
daddy. You're a great daddy.
I know. Oh, I was so tempted to be like, if you don't want these, I'll gladly take them because they are in great condition. And I felt so bad. This is how cool she is and how nerdy her dad is. She goes, I'm talking to her mom, my wife, on the phone, and she goes, Madeline said she can't read her comics. And I go, yes, she can. She goes, no, she said it's not a good idea to read the comics because she didn't want to damage them. I'm like, no. And Emily's like, she will read the comics. I was like, no. I want to promote the reading part. Like, I'm not going to make her some nerdy collector where she can't, like, enjoy what she's reading. And no.
Now, see, that's interesting because when I was younger, I would buy the Ninja Turtle action figures.
Right.
I love Ninja Turtles. I was crazy about Ninja Turtles.
Which one was your favorite?
That's Donatello, of course.
Oh, of course.
That's actually what got me into comic books because I started buying the Ninja Turtle comics.
Right,
I even
right.
had a subscription to Archie, believe it or not. So for those comics, but
Wait, your mom lets you get the original Ninja Turtles? That was pretty dark stuff.
No, not the Mirage stuff, the Archie stuff. That's what I got into.
I thought you were going to be like, your mom let you read Archie?
Well, the Mirage, like at first it was all black and white,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then like when it went to color, everybody had red bandanas, and I was like, that's bullshit because I was raised. I watched the cartoon first, so I was raised on the cartoon.
Right.
Donatello was purple.
Right.
Purple's like my second favorite color, so I was like, green's my first. So a turtle with purple, natural fit for me.
That did it for you.
And Donatello was the best in the video game because he had the stick, so you could
Yes,
the
he had
reach,
the
he had the reach.
farthest reach.
He had the reach.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up.
By the way,
But yeah, like it was great stuff. Great
that
stuff.
Nintendo, those first 2 games, were outstanding.
Oh, the Ninja Turtle games? I wasn't
yes.
even a big Ninja Turtles guy, and those games were awesome.
Wait, which first two? Are you talking about the original Nintendo game?
Yes.
That was so bad.
What?
Could you beat that?
The second one I did. The first one I couldn't.
Yeah.
But that's
First
like
one you
most.
couldn't.
That's like most Nintendo games.
Nobody could beat that first game. No, it's infamously one of the hardest Nintendo
Really?
games.
It is.
Yes. In fact, if anybody beat that game, I'd love to hear from them. To be honest, I really would. Please
comment.
Yes, comment.
Some
Give us a
Pringles
message.
covered
Share
guy
the
right
secret.
now is like, I beat it.
Share the secret.
Send me a message
I don't have a
somehow.
knife, but I beat
Smoke
it.
signal. I don't care. I want to know because that game is so hard. And if you use the Game Genie, you're a cheater. You're a goddamn cheat. You're a cheating whore.
It's like
and
using
I
the
don't wanna hear
30-man
it.
code for Contra.
Oh, come
Nintendo
on.
promoted cheating so bad because I think they realized at one point they're like, our games are kind of impossible on some levels.
Yeah, we've made our games too hard. Let's create the Game Genie.
We have a bunch of violent 7-year-olds because they're just getting into fights and breaking shit.
Like, oh, okay.
Hey, but Mike
so,
Tyson's punch-out was
so you got the Andy shoes, is what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
And then you got your girl, your daughter Madeline. You got her all
her the
those
box of
comics.
yeah.
Okay, Kevin, what did you get anything cool for Christmas?
I got a couple of interesting Funko Pop toys. One
Nice.
of the X-Men Colossus, the other one of the Zootopia character Flash.
Oh, you got an X-Men Colossus.
Yes,
huh?
I did.
What costume Colossus? Are we talking like classic Claremont Byrne, or are we talking bare-chested Colossus with just bikini briefs?
We're talking.
It was classic Claremont.
Yeah.
Classic.
You know, that beautiful uniform you saw from the late 70s, early 80s?
That's one of my favorite. I love his
Boy,
costume.
whoever got you that is a really good friend.
Very nice guy.
Probably your best friend ever.
Very nice guy.
I
Yeah.
wonder who got it.
You know,
Donald, did you get Kevin the Colossus Funko Pop toy?
I may have gotten
All right.
it.
All right.
a kind man,
It
kind
might
man.
have been at the Stanley's Los Angeles Comic Con.
Oh,
while we
really?
were
That we're
there.
at 2 months ago.
Oh,
I
nice.
might have been
He
able to
somehow snuck it in.
sneak out
Really?
one. Yeah, I even got him
Nice.
the hard case to put it in. But it's a great figure. It's beautiful. It's first of all, the way it's positioned in the box looks like he's coming at you.
Yeah.
It looks like he's looking at you and saying, "Are you coming at me?" And he's coming at you.
I
gonna
think
rock ya.
Funko are awesome. It's just one of those things. It's like it's passed me so far that it's like I'm afraid to start collecting because I'm looking around.
Just take your time.
Donald's room right now, his apartment.
Take
and
your
it's like-
time, little by little.
Well, no, you know what I was kind of looking at now is those for the total retro nostalgic aspect is the reaction toys. The ones that are made like they have the Big Trouble Little China.
Oh, Jesus.
The Karate
Yeah.
Kid. The
Also
Goonies.
made by Funko.
Funko
Actually,
reaction.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
those are not so crazy priced, but they've got so many like different. Like I saw the Universal Monsters ones, and I was like, oh man.
Yeah, I bought the big head ones of those a long time ago. Universal Monster.
Right.
Big head figures that they used to package, and I had most of them, but I just went by the wayside with me. I should finish the collection, to be honest.
So did you get anything cool for Christmas?
Well, yeah. I mean, I got some cool things. Like, one thing that I can think of offhand is someone bought me the Luke Cage Mondo record album, which is the soundtrack to Luke Cage.
Which was the best part of that show.
You're
Yeah,
kidding.
No, I'm not kidding. Yeah, I had bought on Black Friday. Actually, I bought the Daredevil soundtrack for Mondo, and I bought the Jessica Jones, the double disc soundtrack for
Right.
Mondo. So I had two. And then I looked for the Luke Cage, but it had sold out
Because it's the best one.
Right, obviously. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I mean,
It's good
just
music
filled
on that
with,
show.
Yeah, it's filled with rap, blues, jazz. It's eclectic compared to just instrumental.
Who's the guy that I fell in love with from that show, and you said you were actually going to see him like the night?
Charles Bradley.
Charles Bradley.
Now,
So good.
everybody listening to this now, if you don't know who Charles Bradley is, he is the next godfather of soul.
Yeah.
He
he's great.
is James Brown revisited on this earth in another
Reincarnated.
man's body.
Yeah. Reincarnated.
Yes. I mean, my God, if you have not heard
He's amazing.
of Charles Bradley, please look him up. He also has a documentary. It used to be on Hulu. I'm not sure if it is anymore. But it's a great documentary about the man himself.
He's I like Wikipedia him instantly.
Yeah.
He actually did James Brown. He
Yeah.
did like he was. That's how he started.
Yeah,
he was like
he
a
was
James
impersonator.
Brown impersonator.
Yeah.
And this like group of like young dudes were like, this guy's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He started writing his own stuff. The song that he does in Luke Cage, "Ain't It a Shame."
Yep.
Just anybody Google YouTube, whatever. Ain't It a Shame? What's his name?
Charles Bradley.
Charles Bradley. Ain't It a Shame? Such a kick-ass song. It's so good and like so much soul and funk. Oh, it's so good.
He's in the 3rd episode of the Luke Cage series, which, by the way, is the best episode in the series from my point of view.
I agree.
Yeah.
He's in the 3rd episode, and he's on stage singing, "If you ain't gonna do me right, I might just do you in."
It's so good.
And that just
You know
tells
what?
it like
I wouldn't
it is.
mind walking down the street playing that kind of song. You know, if someone steps up to you,
Right? Just start singing
just
it.
start singing that song.
If you ain't gonna do me right.
I sing it to my wife, and I just don't. I hold a stare with her, and I'm also holding a gun, and I got to tell you, it's a different reaction.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sure it works
I would
every time,
imagine.
doesn't it? Sir?
Huh.
She just gave me papers the other day. I haven't opened them up though, but I'm sure they're good stuff.
Hey,
Oh,
I
yeah.
know a good
Probably
lawyer.
stickers.
In case you need one.
Probably stickers.
Honey, stickers.
It's filled with stickers.
We surprise stickers.
Like stars and roses and kisses. And
stickers
stuff.
that say "scratch and sniff."
Yeah.
You're divorced.
Yeah.
And by the way, fellas, if I may add this, you know, it's a very solemn moment. Now, we're recording this on December 27th of 2016.
Yes.
And we had a very unfortunate tragedy occur.
Yes,
You
we
know,
did.
The great, beloved Carrie Fisher, as you know as Princess Leia from Star Wars, had passed away today. Mm-hmm. And our hearts are very heavy. I just want to, you know, give a shout out and, you know, remember her in our hearts and our prayers and for her family. And, you know, we're going to miss her. Rest in peace, Miss Fisher.
Yes, go rest in peace, Princess Leia. 2016, you can eat a dick for everybody you've taken from us.
I know,
You are a
that's
cruel, cruel, heartless lover, and we hate you.
Yes.
And yes, rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. Great writer, great actress, and just seemed like everything I've hered about her, super cool person.
Yeah, and plus, you know that she enjoyed her fans. You can tell, you know, at Comic-Con and other events, she appreciated the fan love. You know, some of these celebrities, some of these actors, they just take it for granted.
Right. Not the nicest people.
Not nicest people.
I feel like kind of quarterbacking or piggybacking off this whole Carrie Fisher thing. Probably one of my favorite quotes from Yoda says it best. "Death is a natural part of life. Rejoice for those around you who transform into the Force. Warn them, do not. Miss them, do not. Attachment leads to jealousy. The shadow of greed, that is."
Hey, well said.
So,
You know,
Basically, what he's saying is we're assholes for feeling anything. We should just be heartless Jedis.
Don't-
wear our robes.
don't get attached, motherfucker. Don't get attached.
well, that's just one interpretation. You know,
Yeah,
from
but
this.
you know, I mean, it's very well put that you know it's just basically saying that she's in a better place,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Her
And-
suffering's over.
right, and let's hope that's the case. You know, I'm not much of religion, to be honest, but I do appreciate all aspects of it and all aspects of people. So I hope she's better off, and you know, I'm sorry this all happened.
Something with an E. What was it?
Eclipse Comics.
Eclipse. Yeah, Eclipse
My
Comics.
God, man.
What we keep talking about, we all, at least Kevin and I were saying, there was Epic, which was a Marvel kind of not, like a new company they were trying to do and create their own, like a whole another side project. And then,
that might be another podcast.
yeah, that
to
will be
honest.
another podcast. And then there's Eclipse, which is what we're talking about, and they're so easily to get mistaken. But Eclipse Comics, Donald, tell us about Eclipse.
I'm a big fan. Okay, like Eclipse Comics is what introduced me into comic books that didn't necessarily have to be superheroes that flew and wore a cape. I mean, you would have characters like. To what introduced me to Eclipse Comics was Airboy.
Right.
Now, Airboy in the 80s was Davy Nelson II. Davy Nelson II, of course, was heir to Davy Nelson I. Davy Nelson I, he came about in the 40s. Now, in the 40s...
Like legit came around in the 40s?
yeah,
Okay,
no,
okay.
from the 40s. I have some of the original books
Right.
from the 1940s from Airfighter Comics. Airfighter Comics, I believe it was issue number 2, was the first appearance of Airboy, which was Davy Nelson I.
Do you have that?
No,
Or
I
is
don't.
Is that a hard one? to
I
get?
don't have that. It's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
How expensive?
Well, I got issue like number 8 or 9 for like $250.
Okay.
So we're
That's up
talking
there.
probably $1,000 easy.
Yeah.
These are Golden Age books too, by the way.
And when you're dealing with somebody like me that's an ultra nerd and you're trying to collect like pretty much every first appearance,
Right.
it's in the realm and it should be already mine. but it will be someday. Trust me.
Oh.
I will own that comic.
Hey, you just completed that Conan collection.
I did. I created. I completed the whole collection of Conan.
155
the
issues?
Barbarian. It was 275.
Oh, 275 issues.
Issues,
Oh my
if
gosh.
I recall.
Damn.
Kevin
Oh my
having
God.
gotten me the very last issue, CGC'd, I believe, in a 9.4 or 9.6, something like that. But I did finally complete that collection with issue number 9, which took me forever to get.
And plus, you were very picky because I remember we found them on a couple of occasions. Like, no, it has to be
Not good enough.
That's not good enough. It has to be
Not
the
good
right.
enough. But anyway, getting back to it, Eclipse Comics
Hey, boy.
was very important. Not necessarily only to me, but to creators in general. One of the big reasons Eclipse Comics was so important was because of their difference, how they differentiated themselves from DC and Marvel.
Creative
big
control.
guns. Creative control was one big one. The other thing was creative rights. So
Right.
they could keep the rights to the character, but publish through Eclipse.
So basically, they were Image before Image.
I was just gonna say that.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Image owes a lot to Eclipse Comics.
Right.
Eclipse Comics was created in what year?
1977, sir.
1977. That company was created, and it lasted all the way up until
It's about 1994.
yeah, about 93, 94, I believe. And great company. Just, I mean, if you could go on and on with the people that wrote for Eclipse. Marv Wolfman is one that I can think of right off the top of my head. One of my favorites in Chuck Dixon. If you're listening, I love you. I know I've reached out to you on Facebook. I think you're fantastic.
Steve Gerber, who I'll get to.
Steve
Later.
Gerber, yes, who you're definitely getting to.
Mark
And-
Evanier.
Yep, Mark Evanier, and a bunch of other, like, just a whole host
And artists too,
of
everybody. Yeah.
ingenious writers and creators. I mean, we're talking Neil Gaiman here. We're talking even Alan Moore, right? I
Alan
mean,
Moore, Jack
Miracle
Kirby.
Man.
Jack Kirby.
I
Yeah.
mean, like, we're talking the biggest of the big here
Yeah.
that have been able to be a part
Get their
of
feet wet in
something.
the business.
Right, to be able to say, hey, I created this character and this character's mine.
Or even guys that weren't, that their feet were long wet, but they were
Long
just
wet.
tired of the old guard and
Right.
as far as like the regime of how that was ran,
Right.
Exactly.
run, and
the
they
big
wanted
two.
to, yeah.
Yeah, so Eclipse Comics came about, and it basically turned the industry on its head. It spearheaded a lot of things. It scared Marvel so bad that they were like, wait, we'll give you rights to stuff as long as it's not things that are all, it's like really just frightened a lot of the big guns and the big
Right.
companies. Eclipse Comics, Eclipse, one of their first graphic novels they came out with was
Saber, Slow Fade of an Endangered Species by Don McGregor and Paul Gulacy.
Yeah, Don McGregor did Saber, and that was a huge hit for Eclipse. Huge, because not only did it sell really well, but it also got a little more name recognition for the writer and the creator.
Saber was like that mercenary, right? Was that the one?
Yeah, I think he
Yeah.
was I'm not sure if he was Native American or not, but he had like this bandana thing that he had tied around his head, if
Yes.
I'm correct. And he would go around and just fuck shit up.
Awesome.
And he had a partner, Melissa Siren.
Melissa Cyrus.
Melissa Siren, nice. But yeah, I mean, for me, Eclipse meant a lot, and I think growing up as a little kid in a very small town, we had one comic shop, and the name of the shop, and I'm going to give a shout out to Grackle Flint Comics. Rest in peace. They don't exist anymore.
Oh, no.
In fact, one of the there was a few things that made me realize that I should move. I was in a small town in Ohio, and my great grandfather passed away. He was a very big inspiration for me. My dog of 15 years died,
Yikes.
and my comic shop closed. The comic shop was like the nail in the coffin, so to
Right.
speak, for me.
Yeah, it was a place of, of solace, of solitude.
Yeah, to go there and be with fellow nerds.
Oh, yeah.
I really didn't have that.
That was like a
anymore.
nerd country song right there. Like my grandpa, my dog, and my great comic
Yes.
shop.
This sucks, man. What year was this when this happened?
Oh my god, it was like 2002, 2003, something along that. I eventually moved out here to Los Angeles in 2005. But at that comic shop, they would have a 10-cent box. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, still clear up to like 2003. they had a 10-cent box.
That's pretty, that's kind of unheard of, actually.
Right. It would be basically, they would, like, anything that they couldn't sell, they would just throw in that box and sell it off for 10 cents a piece.
Get something. Yeah.
So I bought an entire, as a kid, as like an early teenager, I would say 13, I bought an entire run of Airboy comics from Eclipse Comics.
So that's where it started then?
That's where it started.
Okay.
$5 for
wow.
50 books.
Oh, wow.
Is what it cost me.
You can't go wrong there.
Right. I bought the entire run. Written by Chuck Dixon.
Well, by the way,
entire run.
if I recall, didn't Chuck Dixon write a plethora of G.I. Joe cartoon episodes?
He did. He wrote G.I. Joe. He also wrote a lot of Batman books.
Did he do Nightwing?
He did Nightwing.
He was like the big Nightwing guy, though, isn't he?
He was your go-to man for a great story. He's no lesser than Mark Waid when it comes to a reliable, solid story writer.
Yeah,
Not somebody that's going to rock the boat, but that's just going to tell good shit.
Right.
So,
just
for
a
me,
solid comic book writer. Yeah.
Right. For me, it was all down to Airboy. In Airboy, he was a fictional aviator hero, originally published by Hillman Periodicals during World War II, believe it or not. I mean, so he's been around. And this was then brought back from obscurity, basically by Eclipse Comics, and under the revival from Chuck Dixon, and it lasted for 50 issues. The artists varied pretty much so much that was one of the big reasons Chuck Dixon said that he had to cancel this series, was just they didn't have an artist that they could tap that would do it regularly for them. So it was very interesting how that came about, not like because of the amount of sales, but just because of the fact that they couldn't get an artist to keep up with the writing that he was doing, which
that has to be an unusual situation.
I would imagine so. But it was pretty popular. I mean, it ran for 3 or 4 years, and it had a couple spin-offs. Airboy meets Mr. Monster, Airboy meets the Prowler, the Air Fighters meet Sergeant Strike, Target Airboy, Airboy versus the Air Maidens. Davey, what he did was he got into a plane, and this plane was called Birdie. And it was a special plane because it flew like a bird. It flapped wings.
Aptly named.
Yeah, right? Very simply named, but of course it's from the 40s, so
no, I like that.
You gotta expect that kind of stuff. But
I'm a Justice Society fan, man. Our man. I love that shit.
Right, yeah.
Dr. Midnight.
He got in there and took over the legacy of Airboy and met some of the original villains like Misery that Airboy fought. Misery was like almost kind of like, I would say, Skeletor meets Momra.
Oh man, how awesome is that?
Man.
Now those are two of my favorite cartoon villains from back in the day.
So you might want to check it out. It might be a good thing for you. And he would fight him. And he also had somebody on his side. And this is the interesting part that I think you guys will dig. Davey, the son, had a girlfriend, so to speak. And this girl was named Valkyrie. Valkyrie had been kept in cryogenic freeze by Misery. She was originally a Nazi from World War II that fell in love with the original Davey.
Oh, wow.
And started fighting with him instead of against him. Yeah,
Yeah,
she defected. And she got frozen by Misery in time, basically, and was thawed out around the time of the sun's emergence into Airboy. And then she started to fall in love with him.
Wow.
Because he acted and looked so much like the father.
Wow.
So you had this lady that's like old as shit that's in love
with the next generation.
But she was preserved.
She was preserved.
Yeah.
And she looked great, don't get me wrong. I mean,
Right.
she was voted like number 45 or 50 or something like that of the hottest 100 hottest comic book characters of all time. Dave Stevens? Is it Dave Stevens? It does a lot of the artwork and did a lot of the covers and stuff in the 80s and 90s. He did a cover with Valkyrie. And it's amazing. Like, they did a poster of it at one point, and I've always wanted to get that poster. But that, she fell in love with the second Davey.
Right.
And they basically started to become romantically involved and fought Misery and other, like wrongdoers
Right.
in the 50 issues that Chuck Dixon wrote. So it was
cool.
very cool. But, springboarding onto that, there's so many other Eclipse characters. And I think you have one, Jarrett, right?
Yeah. My character, well, actually, before I get to my character, I have to kind of jump back over to the pond, to one of the big two, to Marvel Comics, with the character, and this will all come full circle. Just bear with me. We will get there. We're going to go to 1973 to Adventure into Fear. What was it? Whatever. It was the first Howard the Duck. The anthropomorphic character who Wisecracking Duck, created by Steve Gerber, who's actually one of my favorite. Was it?
It was number 19.
Number 19. It's a book I really wanted. It's got Man-Thing on the cover, and it's the first appearance of Howard the Duck.
It's a beautiful book.
Yeah, how much cooler did you get? And Howard the Duck, it's one of those. I'm kind of digging those first appearances where it's just one panel where they just show up, and Howard the Duck's panel is so perfect. He literally just walks in. Man-Thing's fighting this warrior guy, and all of a sudden Howard the Duck's out of the blue pops out of the bushes, and it's like, clam up, bud. You don't even know the meaning of the word. And then he's just all of a sudden there, and that's how Howard the Duck was born. And Steve Gerber is one of my favorites because he created one of my favorite obscure characters who's actually made a resurgence in Marvel recently, the Fool Killer.
Uh-oh.
I love Fool Killer. I am the nerd for Fool Killer.
Now, didn't the Fool Killer debut in the 90s?
No. One of my favorite versions of Fool Killer that was also written by Steve Gerber was in the 90s. But Fool Killer originally debuted in early Man-Thing sometime in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
But there's been many versions of the Fool Killer.
Okay.
But so Steve Gerber created Howard the Duck. Basically, this anthropomorphic, funny animal trapped on Earth. That's his gimmick. And what I loved about Gerber, what he said is, the joke about Howard the Duck is there is no joke. That's just it. He's a duck, and he's on Earth. And he's going to play himself serious as a duck, and that's it.
Yeah, Steve Gerber, who sadly is no longer with us, did...
Yes, Steve Gerber passed. Steve Gerber passed away, sadly. I forget, he got sick. He might have cancer. Something. Not too long ago, too.
Right. I think he choked on an apple.
Yes, he choked on an apple, and... that was,
I'm pretty sure that's not it, but...
But, his whole thing was that life, he said, the reason Howard the Duck, the joke is there is no joke because life's most serious moments and life's most hilarious moments are all just distinguishable by a point of view. So Howard the Duck wasn't going to be like some Donald Duck character, which we'll get to too. He wasn't going to be like some Donald Duck character or like some kind of absurd character where like basically if an anvil got dropped on his head, he would get flat and come out. If an anvil got dropped on Howard the Duck's head, there would be blood and screaming and profanities. It was beautiful. He was a real character. He was a duck man trapped on Earth, and I loved it.
Now, I have to wonder, did you love that movie?
No, I
didn't?
did not. No.
You didn't?
And that movie was very big for me because I grew up in Marin County, and Lucas
not
Arts.
too far away.
Yeah, Lucas Industrial Lights and Magic, ILM, they were all there. All the Lucas my parents owned a cafe. All the Lucas people would come there in the mornings and get our food, and we would talk to them, and they were super cool guys. And they were making Howard the Duck around there, and I remember getting a Howard the Duck poster,
Nice.
which I infamously shot with a BB gun.
Oh, boy.
And my parents never noticed until years later that it was cracked in the frame, and it was like 4 years after, and they're like, I was like, they're never going to notice it. They finally noticed it. And it was like nothing. It was one of those things that I was like dreading getting caught for,
Yeah.
but I couldn't take the painting down. I couldn't take the poster down. But it was so obvious, this just BB gun size hole crack in the frame. But yeah, so I don't remember ever being impressed with the movie, and I think even the thing is because there was just the duality of Steve Gerber created this kind of interesting character, and the person who directed that movie was just like, let's just make a funny duck movie. Like they were just interested in the property.
Right.
Of just like... I
found it hilarious, but I can completely understand how somebody that was a big fan of the character would find it a little bit, I don't know, blasé, I guess. Or
right.
Just not as cool as you would you would have found it in the comics.
Exactly, yeah. You definitely probably had people who like enjoy the comics and were like, they're making a Howard the Duck movie? Like how we were when they're making a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, except that was good.
Right. We got lucky.
Exactly. So Gerber's writing his run on Howard the Duck, and he's having a good time. He created it with an artist, Val Mayerick. I want to give the artist credit. Mm-hmm. But so he's writing it for 27 issues, and then he starts kind of getting a little annoyed because I think the character was getting some hype, and he was like, well, I own this character, right? I created Howard the Duck. I created him with this artist, and he's my character. And Marvel was like, no, we hired you as a writer, and so whatever you create is ours. So he didn't take too kindly to that. So
nor should he.
You know. So this was one of the first, actually maybe even the first big public copyright infringement case brought on by a comic creator. There was a corporate company called Cadence that basically handled all the rights for Marvel at that time, and he decided to put a lawsuit against them. Mm-hmm. And after doing that, he immediately got removed from the series, which is not surprising because they were like, well, you're trying to sue us. You're not writing the character anymore. But a lot of creators got behind him, and the people at Eclipse got behind him, and they basically said, okay, why don't you create a comic over here, and with the funds from that comic, you can fund your lawsuit. And that character was aptly named Destroyer Duck.
Wow.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So he starts this series.
Sweet revenge.
Exactly, right. So thus Destroyer Duck was born. So September 24th, 1982, the case gets settled, right? Gerber loses and pretty much admits that, yes, I was a work for hire, and Marvel owns the rights, the title, and interest, and everything.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, but Destroyer Duck does get a fan base. It's published in 1982. The character's name is Louis Duke Duck, and his tragedies, he witnesses his best friend, TLG, or the little guy, vanish into thin air. And the stories, from what I'll admit, full disclosure, never read Destroyer Duck, but everything I'm reading about it now makes me want to. The stories included, I think he wrote it for 5 or 6 issues. It was an anthology book. But the very first issue, which they called the Special Lawsuit Benefit Edition, because they were just saying it for what it was, is actually more known by comic collectors as it was the first appearance of Gru the Wanderer. So any big Gru fans?
Really?
Yeah.
I have that issue.
Really?
Yeah, Destroyer Duck #1.
Really?
Yeah, I absolutely have that issue.
And you have the first Gru by Sergio
shit.
Aragones, which is probably a pretty penny, I would imagine.
That's something I didn't know.
Boy, you better take care of that.
I guess.
So basically, Gerber stops writing it, but he's the editor on Destroyer Duck, and there's such stories as an STD-infected Gilligan's Island that I think had art by Frank Miller. There's all these crazy characters. So it's kind of like Howard the Duck, like X-rated or to the nth degree, and pretty much that series kind of fades away until later. They did a one-shot in 1996 with just Savage Dragon Destroyer Duck one-shot.
Wow.
Huh.
And I think that was the last, and obviously, like we were saying, Steve Gerber passed, but I think that was the last publication of Destroyer Duck.
Nice.
So that is the story of Destroyer Duck and the Howard the Duck lawsuit with Steve Gerber.
He did in 1988, I think it was. He came back, Destroyer Duck, for a little bit in the Total Eclipse run,
Right.
Which, I'm going to be honest with you guys, was going to be a topic of discussion for this podcast, but I could only get through the first 2 books.
It bored the shit out of Donald.
It was really, it's really not good. Marv Wolfman is...
Who's great.
He's great, but I don't know if he was drunk or bored or what it was, but this, like, the first 2 issues were so bad of this series. There's 5, by the way, in this total, that I couldn't do it. I tapped out. I literally tapped. I was sitting in bed reading. I finished the 2nd issue and I just started hitting the mat. And I was like, please, someone.
I'm done.
I'm done. Ref,
Rear
get me
naked
out of
choke.
here.
I'm done.
So basically, this book choked you out.
Yeah.
But the beauty of Total Eclipse
It
was...
put me in an armbar of boredom.
You did,
and I
yes.
tapped out.
It got me in a headlock of nonsense. But like the beauty of it, real quick to just glaze over this, the beauty of it was Total Eclipse was like their answer to DC's Crisis.
Right.
They
That's
were
what I'm saying. It looks like they're trying to combine all the characters.
We got to get all these characters in here. And let me name some of the characters in here that are in this Total Eclipse series that all work together to fight an enigmatic man that can never die, that wants to die, and the only way he can is by ending the universe.
Yeah, well.
So, I mean, that's a good idea, don't get me wrong.
Makes sense.
But how they get there is just terrible. You have the Prowler. You have the other Prowler, which is the Prowler's apparently protege.
The Prowler and the other
Skywolf.
Prowler.
You have Airboy, of course. You have Misery, which is the bad guy in the Airboy series. You have, not only that, but you have Crackshot, Polestar, Burnout, Impulse, Megabyte, Dot, Avalon, Slick, Tachyon.
So wait. So does Misery help them?
Sort of, yeah. At the beginning, he helps them.
So what you're saying is Misery loves company.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
That was a comic pun.
Okay,
kill them
so
all.
then you have and this is one of my all-time favorites besides Airboy. He was created for Eclipse, was Doc Stern's Mr. Monster.
Oh,
Mr. Monster, right? We were talking
Mr.
about
Monster, which is just a dude that fought like monsters. He had no powers. Then you had a character named Beanish, who was I can't really describe what he was.
Did you say Beanish?
Beanish.
Beanish.
He's like a fairy or something. I don't know what the hell he was.
Now, this is quite a generic name for a character.
Masked Man?
Yeah, what the hell is that all about?
Yeah, I mean, it's bad, guys. Like, some of the... Like, what I'm saying is, like, they're creator-owned, but it's like the creators just gave up by the time they got to Eclipse.
Right.
Although I do like the name Radio Boy. I think that's
Radio Boy.
That's kind of cracked me up.
Radio Boy. Okay, here's his description. Everyone not be so afraid. Our Nippon hero is to be stopping those who would do bad yet once again.
Now, Nippon,
So that's when he let his 5-year-old do the writing for the creator?
Apparently.
Now, Nippon, I believe, is the proper name for Japan.
Nippon?
Yeah.
Nippon.
Yeah.
Isn't it the name of a company that used to make VHS tapes? It is. Nippon. Yeah,
That would
Nippon.
make sense. Yeah.
Dr. Eclipse, Miracle Man, Aztec Ace, Nine Crocodile, Head, Black Terror, Iron Ace, Hiroto, and then we go to the final book here, which has Destroyer Duck,
Right.
The Heap,
Flying
Flying Dutchman,
The Heat.
Bruce, which is one of the radioactive hamsters, along with Jackie, Chuck, and Clint, believe it or not.
Oh, wait.
I shit you not.
I see a manly name there, Lester Mansfield.
There is a man listed in there.
It sounds like a
But-
70s porn stuff.
The biggest thing about this series, besides the fact that they were just trying to throw everything in together, issue 4, guys. And I did not know this until this very day. Issue 4 marks the first appearance of a very important writer. And can you guess which writer that would be?
I'm going to take a wild guess. I'm going to say maybe Neil Gaiman?
Nail on the head, sir. Neil Gaiman.
Nice.
His first time writing Miracle Man is in Total Eclipse number 4. So it's the first appearance of Neil Gaiman actually writing Miracle Man.
Oh, that's cool.
That is the coolest thing about the story. I shit you not.
To think that the man who created wrote the Sandman, actually debuted in that book.
With Miracle Man, yeah, in Eclipse Comics. So that's the coolest thing. Not to hijack this, but Kevin, do you have a little bit of trivia when it comes to Eclipse?
Well, there is a little thing here about Eclipse Comics is one of the first American comics publisher companies to bring in manga to the U.S. with
Really?
Yes, with Masamune Shiro's Appleseed.
Oh, Appleseed. I actually do know that because they did there's some cool animations of this.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
Like
some movies.
cartoons? Or?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's Japanimation, although...
It started as manga, and then, of course, eventually they make an anime out of it later on.
Huh.
So, they definitely, as you said, Donald, were groundbreaking in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Eclipse's run, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have Pacific Comics.
Wouldn't have Image Comics.
We wouldn't have the big one, which is Image Comics.
Wouldn't have Dark Horse.
We wouldn't have had Malibu Comics, which that is a topic for another time, let me tell you, because Malibu Comics gets crazy with the Ultraverse and what they did and how they did it. Valiant, which then later turned into Acclaim because it was bought by the video game company, and then later turned back into Valiant when it became an independent company. Epic's creation, Vertigo's creation,
Dark Horse.
Dark Horse Comics coming on the scene. So many things stemmed from the birth of Eclipse Comics.
And look at all the stories that are getting like shows now, like stuff like Preacher and Why the Last Man. Those are all same thing, descendants of the type of books that Eclipse was putting out, adult-oriented stories.
Complex stories, three-dimensional characterization.
So on behalf of the Short Box, we thank you, we salute you, Eclipse Comics. It's been fun researching you for sure. And I think that'll do it. I'm Jarrett.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Donald.
This has been the Real Short Box Talks.
Please subscribe.
Check out the YouTube channel. Check out everything. And tell your friends, tell a soul, tell everybody. And we'll see you at the comic shop.